We'll call the meeting to order for Parks and Recreation Commission for Thursday, December 18th. Do have an agenda. If there is anybody for public forum that would like to speak on any topic other than what's on the agenda, be able to do that in public forum. This is atypical for me to start a meeting, but today our chairperson and vice chairperson are not here. So the first thing that I would do is we do need to appoint a temporary chairperson for today. So I would entertain a motion for somebody to be appointed to serve as the temporary chair for today.
I make a motion that Jeff is our chairperson today.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We got a motion and a second. Are there any other options?
I'm sure there are.
But nobody's going to say anything.
We agreed today.
All right. So we have a motion to appoint Jeff as temporary chairperson for today. We have a second as well. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, hearing none. Jeff is our temporary chairperson. We'll pass the gavel over to him.
I'd like to thank all the people that made this possible. So,
You're welcome.
thank you, Keith. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the November 20th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, additions, corrections?
So with this, is it just the November 20th, or are you doing the December 4th
Do you want me to
separate?
handle them both?
You can probably just do them both at the same time.
We'll do
if
them
you'd
both
like.
at the same time.
Are you good with that, Deborah?
I'm good with that. Yes.
All right.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Very good. We will approve the minutes. Public forum, if we have any guests with us that would care to address the commission, please come to the podium. If not, I will close public forum. Next on the agenda is the Crawdaddy request to provide kayak, canoe, and paddleboat rentals at Ada Hayden Heritage Park.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information in the commission action form regarding this topic. Just as a reminder, Jack's Outdoor Gear, did this for 20 years, with 2024 being their last year that they did that. Jamie Borgum is here from Crawdaddy, and he's been in Crawdaddy's been in business for 20 years, up in the Waverly area, and they just opened up a store, kind of a soft opening. They'll do a grand opening in the spring, but he approached us, and he can speak a little bit more to his business, but he would like to do the same thing that Jack's did. And that was very popular. Didn't put any of the data in there for how many rentals they did and all that kind of stuff. But just a couple of things. It's going to be very similar to what Jack's did. Renting the canoes, kayaks, paddle boards, Saturdays and Sundays from 11 to 5, Memorial Day to Labor Day. But this is a change. They're also looking at maybe doing it on Wednesday nights. Skunk River Paddlers have some floats and then some paddles on Wednesday night. So thinking about doing that. The rental rates are there. Another change is that, well, two things. One, he would like to be able to park their trailer, which is a 23-foot enclosed trailer at the park. And that's something that doesn't really take commission action. That's something that staff can do. And we did tell Jamie that he could do that. Because of the having the trailer out there and also posting on the trailer when rentals are going to be and things of that sort, people will have a better idea of when they'll be there. He will move that if we have events such as Ames Triathlon, or if there's another event, he will move it if needs to. But because of that, he would like to, we do have the 10% of gross sales come back to Parks and Recreation. Jack's always had that or wanted to have that waived. Jamie is willing to provide that 10% back to the community, to Parks and Recreation, so we can use it for other things. And maybe you can have Jamie come up and just talk real briefly, very community minded, and he can speak to some of those things a little bit more.
Yes, thank you. I'm Jamie Borglum, owner of Crawdaddy Outdoors. Crawdaddy has been in business for 20 years. My wife and I have owned the store for 2 years now. We're extremely excited about coming to Ames and having a store here. The Ada Hayden opportunity to be able to offer rentals for us, both for the community to be able to get people outside, use a really good resource that is there with Ada Hayden, with the ADA compliant access, kayak access. It's a really good opportunity. We would like to use it. So that fleet for us is going to be a demo fleet. So it'll be our higher end kayaks that we sell, which gives people an opportunity as a customer to go out there and try things before they buy them. But then at the same time, getting out on the water, we'll have fishing pedal drive kayaks that people can go out onto, the paddle boards, canoes. I'm actually in the process of applying for a grant that if I were to get it, I want to be able to buy a ADA compliant accessible kayak that we could offer as a rental out there also, to utilize those facilities. The ability to park the trailer out there makes it so much less logistics that I can have, college students or part-time staff be able to go out there, open up a trailer, get the kayaks out, put them back into the trailer and be done, versus having, to have a vehicle that can pull a trailer, insurance on that vehicle, all those logistics on Saturdays and Sundays. We would like to partner, any way that's possible to get people outside. That's our mission. So.
Very good. Any questions for Jamie?
Do you provide life preservers as well, or?
Yes, everybody is required to have a life jacket on at all times. On all of our events, always. That's 100% non-negotiable for us as a business, and all of what we do. Our insurance requires it, and it's just common sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would say, two things. One that Jamie mentioned, the pedal kayaks. That's something that we haven't had out there before. And then also, I think you're going to maybe try some tandem
Yes.
kayaks, which
Yeah, we'll
which
have
haven't been out
tandems
there
and
before.
canoes. Yep.
Yeah.
Will you have paddle boards at all?
Yes, we will have some stand-up paddle boards, and in the information that I provided, we'll make sure that people aren't swimming. They'll all have ankle leashes. Our staff will make sure that we educate people that swimming is not allowed at Ada Hayden. All of my staff that will be out there will be trained in basic water safety and first aid, CPR also.
Do you know if you're going to have one or two staff there at a time?
To start out, for sure, I will plan on having two. The exception might be is if I'm out there by myself. I feel like I could manage it on my own, but with other staff, especially in the interim of training staff as a new business, I will have two people there.
Are you going to have fishing kayaks for rent?
Yes, so there will be some fishing kayaks with the pedal drives. There will be some other sit on top kayaks that will be part of that fleet, and people are welcome to rent those and fish out of them, and basically rent by the hour. I mentioned that, it's an opportunity for people to buy before they buy it. One thing that we are going to offer to people is bring in their receipt for the rental into the store if they do end up purchasing a kayak within 30 days, and we'll give them that rental fee back off of that price of that kayak.
Great.
And it also mentions in here, we're talking about partnering with some other programs. I'd love to be able to do some basic kayak classes out there, or, some family oriented things and things like that in the future too.
Good. I need to learn how to reflip it. Once you've flipped over, how do you reflip it?
We can do that. The pool would be the best place to learn that. And we've talked about that as an opportunity with the new rec center once it opens, of looking at something like that. with not being able to swim in Ada Hayden's probably not the place for me to teach you how to flip it over.
A pool it is. Sounds safer. Great. Thank you, Jamie.
Well,
So-
one more. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. The Sleepy Hollow canoe and kayak access onto the Skunk River is pretty close by there also. Are you having any connection with that too?
So we haven't, I haven't looked into all of that. There's what I'm finding in the very short time that I've been in Ames is there's a lot of accesses and a lot of outdoor resources in Ames. So I'm just in the process of learning where all these things are and the access to them. But one, like we are, like I've said before, we're very into just getting people outside and utilizing public spaces and helping people experience all those things. Selling stuff for us is just how we fund that whole mission. So
Is your store open now?
we are open. So we're open till the Saturday after Christmas.
Okay.
We're basically in half our space right now on Main Street, and then we'll be closed the month of January. And our plan right now is to reopen February 5th. We're trying to move that up as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. So
If there's any questions, otherwise ask if anybody wants to speak.
would anyone in the audience care to speak to this proposal? Fellow commissioners, we have three alternatives. We could go in any direction. We could approve the request. It would be effective May 23rd to September 7th, 2026. Deny the request or refer back to staff. So I would be anxious to hear a motion from someone.
Yep. And the staff's recommendation is alternative number one.
Right.
I move to go with alternative number one.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It is approved. Congratulations. Have a great year.
Thanks, Jamie.
Good. Agenda item number 5 is the ISU Healthapalooza Community Fitness Ideas Discussion.
Yeah, and so this is a follow-up from last month where we had the two groups come up and talk, and there were some questions, and commission decided to table it for a month. So right now, these two groups are going to come back up and they try to answer some of the questions that you had. And if there are others, I did speak with both groups and pose some other questions and some things that would be helpful for commission to determine if we're going to do anything with either of these ideas. So why don't we just start with Emma and Catherine? You can come on up. And again, they had the passport idea.
Please proceed.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting us back. My name is Emma Rios,
I'm Catherine Watkins.
and we would like to tell you a little bit more about our idea of making a passport and map for the residents of Ames and to answer a few questions that came up during our last visit. Before we answer some questions, we'd like to provide a quick overview of our project. We created a map using information from several websites, including Parks and Rec, City of Ames, and All Trails. This information is currently available to residents, but we thought this would make it easier to see for all ages and is a fun way to display the many activities of town. This map has color-coded trails and numbered parks with a key on the back, which includes several amenities for each park and ratings for trail intensity.
Our passport has several interactive activities for all ages on every page. On the current edition, there are 6 trails, including information on each one and different ways to remember your trip. And at the halfway point or overlook, there will be a poster and a hole punch to stamp your passport. Once all 6 trails are completed, the passport can be turned in to receive a collectible patch. Spot the plant, tree, and animal are other interactive and educational activities with spots and instructions to press leaves into the booklet. A priority of our project was to create physical products for residents to have on their walks, so both of these ideas are centered around that. However, we believe both of these could be digitalized fairly easily.
The funding for this project has been greatly considered. We plan to apply for SciStarters this summer, which is a program that supports student-led brands and startup businesses. It can award up to $13,000 for student teams. We also intend to apply for the Focus Artist Grant, which centers around supporting artistic projects and is where we can showcase any of our designs, including a patch. This grant awards up to $600 with applications due in April. In addition to grants, we've been looking at different fundraising opportunities. The Ames Triathlon in June at Ada Hayden has the same demographic as to those who would be interested in using our passports, so having a booth at this event could be very effective. We would greatly appreciate support from Parks and Rec in funding this project as well. We could host events at local businesses like Dog-Eared Books, which hosts several events every week. There are several programs and clubs that may be interested in using our passports. We plan to connect with these groups for potential collaborative fundraising opportunities as well.
So we've made a loose timeline for the continuation of our project separated into phases. Phase 1 involves finalizing the prototypes to our designs, beginning planning a pilot program, and communicating with different organizations and potential partners. Currently, we've reached out to Boy Scout Troop 140, who are interested in helping install posts as a service project. We emailed the Ames Public Library but did not receive a response, so we haven't had the time to visit so we plan to visit other community buildings in person within the next month. Given that it's finals week, we haven't had the time to visit these places yet or communicate more thoroughly with these businesses, but this phase is where we will receive a lot of helpful feedback. And in phase two occurs over this upcoming summer and is when we hope to secure the majority of our funding. We will purchase the materials needed for installation and print the passports, maps, and patches in bulk. Phase 3 is next fall, where we will install posts and signage to the trails that are showcased on the passport. We will distribute them along with our maps to those who have agreed to be pickup and drop-off points and to other organizations and locations who are interested. We will have our first official launch and gather initial feedback. Phase 4 is longer term with no set deadline, and we will make adjustments using the initial feedback. We would like to create multiple editions of passports for the different areas of town. Pickup points will also need to be restocked with materials, so they will need to be reprinted. Ideally, that should be the only long-term maintenance.
The main materials for this project are printed, which would be done through an external service. The posts would use a few materials and tools for installation, but the process itself is fairly simple. The posts themselves would have a custom sign on them with labels, instructions, and have our project name and credits to Healthapalooza where this originated. There will be hole punches of different shapes at each trail attached by a chain. If attaching to an existing post, only signage, chains, and hole punches would be needed. If installing a new post, holes would be dug using augers and shovels a few feet deep depending on how long the posts are. They would be filled halfway with fine gravel, tamping down the sledgehammer to keep it stable, and then fill with remaining existing soil. Thank you very much for your interest in our project. Did you have any questions for us?
Thank you, Emma. Catherine, how'd you do on finals?
Good.
Good? Okay, are you sure?
I think so. Haven't
done.
gotten final grades.
They're
back
done,
yet.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Very good. Questions for the passport team?
So let's see, we asked you last time, and I know you kind of addressed it. The library was going to be kind of the hub so are you thinking maybe changing that depending on what the library says and having other spots be the drop-off pickup, or would you like the library to be your main?
We would still like the library to be our main spot. We're planning on going in person to talk to someone just
Right.
because that's an easier way of communicating. But yeah, we just have been pretty busy.
And, you could always use the Park and Rec's.
Yeah.
The Park and Rec's main building, or where we are, the downtown down here where we are.
Yeah. That would be, perfect
Yeah.
as well. Yep.
In any one of our facilities.
Yeah. Right. Okay. That was one of my questions. Oh, you were saying some other groups might be interested. Like, what other groups were you thinking? Like Girl Scout group? I mean,
Yeah.
what were you thinking as far as who you might, approach?
So at Iowa State, there's a bunch of clubs. There's hiking clubs, mountaineering clubs
Right.
that go to the parks regularly. They have
Yeah.
running clubs that do the same thing. And then for other areas of town, I know at Ames, either middle school or high school, they have a Geo Explorers Club that visits these places as well. And that'd be a really good way to have kids involved in it as well.
Right.
One of the questions, and maybe you answer it, but I don't remember, but what about continuity? When you folks graduate, move off, start making millions, who's going to be left here in town to see this project through?
Yeah, we have talked with Ms. Moss about creating like an internship of sorts through the science visualization program at Iowa State that would work on, you know, creating the other passports and keeping those moving on. The science visualization major, excuse me, is required to have an internship to graduate. So be like hiring one or choosing one or two people to be an intern for that to keep this going would probably be our best bet.
So just to follow up to that question, what happens if you two are very passionate about this? All right, your idea, you're doing this, but what about those future interns, future students? They just don't have the passion. They have an interest in doing something else. So then what happens? You know, we have these posts in the park system. We have no students that want to do it. Then, and one of the concerns is that we always have is, and this has happened before, where we have groups that we'll do this, and then all of a sudden somebody moves away, somebody leaves town, somebody gets a different job, whatever it might be. And then we've been providing a service, and now it falls on staff. And sometimes we just don't have the resources to pick up these projects. So address that, please.
Absolutely. If that's where we thought this project was fairly self-sustaining after the initial posts and initial round of passports were made. The future editions, it would be a lovely goal, but it's not necessarily a requirement. So that is something that wouldn't necessarily need to be upkept. Our only definite maintenance of sorts would be reprinting the materials if they run out, like annually per se, and then distributing those to the pickup and drop off points. But we thought in general it was fairly self-sustaining.
Great.
I have one more, kind of along the same lines. I wonder if you've given any thought to working with volunteer groups in town who have an interest in the parks, like Friends of Ada Hayden, or I'm thinking even like the Ryman Gardens volunteer groups to be part of that sustainability and continuity. Have you worked with them at all yet?
We haven't yet, but I'm going to write that down so we don't
Great.
forget.
Good idea.
Yeah, we have a whole list of those there's a million different organizations that are very outdoor centered. So we would love to communicate with them within the next month when we're out of school and have more time to be able to put into this.
There's also a winter hiking group that, okay, you know them.
Yeah, Miss Moss, she was extremely helpful with letting us know about a lot of these different programs.
Would the punches just be hanging on the post, or would they have someplace to go into? Or I mean, are they just going to hang there?
Yeah, they would just be attached by a short chain to the post itself.
Okay.
Sorry, I have another question. You also kind of briefly talked about the potential for this to move into like a digital, like an app or a website or something like that. What do you foresee as like the realistic potential for that? Or how would you ideally like to see that realized? Because that feels to me like potentially a way that it could become more sustainable if there's less of kind of the hard copy updates to do, if you know what I mean. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, we actually need to talk more with our other group about integrating our two ideas a little bit more. They already have, their spots for like the photo competition, stuff like that within their app. And I think that would be a great place to put this map that we've made and also the passport as a digital version. Yeah, I mean, having a physical copy is great, but in this day and age, having an online copy is even easier.
Great. Emma, Catherine, thank you for being here again today.
Yeah,
Great job.
Thank you very
Just
much.
hang on. I just want to give Joshua, Courtney, do you have any questions that you'd want to ask?
Maybe just one question. What do you have as your initial startup cost? Obviously, you have posts, you have printings, you have obviously the punches, you have the prizes, those types of things. So overall, what is your initial startup cost to get this off the ground?
That was one of our limits with being students within the last month. We had limited time with studying for finals and everything to find the most affordable option between different companies, different sellers, that sort of thing. But within Overbreak, we would like to have all of that figured out.
Have a solid answer.
Mhm.
Because yeah, we're hoping to apply for these grants, and if that goes well, then we'll have that startup money. That's 13,000 and possibly 600, but beyond that, yeah, we'll need to do some more research.
Regarding the signage in the park system, the posts, all those types of items, I prefer that you maybe we can set up a meeting, or you give me a call and we can talk through that, just to make sure if this is going to go forward, that we point you in the right direction, and how our maintenance standards would apply to what you're planning for the park system, just to ensure that longevity, that doesn't require additional maintenance on our staff if this goes forward. Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and the second group is Leah. The injurer was not able to be here, so she's flying solo today.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for having us back. It is such an honor for you guys to hear more of our ideas. So just a reminder of kind of what we are. So we are hoping to create an app that is a fitness app and a calendar system as well that enables residents, students, and visitors to locate all public activities in one place more easily. Currently, this information is across different websites, social media pages, and calendars. So this Active Ames app kind of projects to aims to enhance fitness accessibility, visibility, and participation, and just to bring more awareness to all of these great resources that we already have here in Ames. So we have a few different questions here that we are going to answer. And then this is just a little bit of our dashboard and our calendar as well that we have printed up. So we just took notes of some of the questions that were asked, and we have some responses here as well. And I will just be responding on behalf of me and my partner, Indra, as well. So for an initial startup, that was one of our first questions. We're hoping to start as soon as possible. We are just waiting on responses to have support in creating the app in itself. We have already received support from the healthcare management program to use this as an internship in a project, as well as the scientific and visualization program at Iowa State as well, to offer this for students. And then we have received support from 60 Forward as well as Ames Public Library to post these flyers in their office as well. So now going off of like the community and student benefits, you might be wondering how does this really benefit the community here? So for the community members, the app offers a single, easy to use platform for discovering events, increasing that participation, and enhancing access for families, seniors, individuals with disabilities, and new residents here in Ames. For students, the project offers real-world experience in design, technology, and civic engagement, resulting in portfolio-ready work and meaningful community impact. So for student availability and short-term internship structure, that was one of our questions as well, was how we're going to kind of sustain this. And then there's going to go, I'm going to kind of answer two of the questions here. So we do recognize that student internships typically last around 3 months. So to address this, the project is structured into modular components that can be developed, improved, or maintained independently. So for example, one student wouldn't just take on this whole app itself. Since we do have multiple departments that would be interested in this, we could give each student's different departments or different parts of the app. So for example, we could do an event category such as art, or the park and trails, the pools and recreation, accessibility focus with the UI, UX, and then community specific features. So each student cohort would work on clearly defined pieces of the app, making transitions between teams more smooth. Because we do understand that when you're doing an internship, it can get a little difficult when you're in classes as well. So we feel if you take on different parts of the app, it could be a little more sustainable and easy for the student as well. And so then for documentation and onboarding materials, we will be that will be created to support the continuity, and then maybe potential looking at AI assisted tools to help reduce some of that repetitive work for students, such as the updating the calendars or flagging outdated information information, which then kind of goes to the next question with the sustainability and the long-term continuity. So the app directly benefits students, making it more likely that future cohorts will remain engaged. I apologize. Internships are designed to be creative, impactful, and portfolio worthy rather than just being repetitive or administrative. So having that clear ownership, documentation, and modular development reduces the reliance on any single group or individual. So over time, automation and AI can support the further decreased manual maintenance as well. And so then now going into like the sourcing and accuracy of information as well here. So event information will be sourced from reliable and transparent sources, including the City of Ames public calendars, partner organizations, and publicly available community listings. So in long term, additional methods may include structured data feeds, submission portals for local organizations, and automation tools that help categorize and format events as well. So then all of that information collection will adhere to data ethics and term of use with human review where necessary to ensure that accuracy. So now to our funding. Initial funding would support the development, testing, and launch of the initial project. Long-term sustainability may include non-intrusive local advertising, sponsored event listings, as well as partnerships with the City of Ames and then Ames businesses and organizations here. So the goal is for the app to transition toward partial or complete self-sustainability, thereby reducing the city's ongoing financial support needs as well here. We are also hoping to include information from clubs and organizations as well. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but we have like an Ames soccer club. We have all kinds of clubs that are offered here. So we are hoping to have them pay like a certain amount in the beginning, and then we would have them send us their information for schedules and details, and that would all be included in that app. So any of the families here can locate all of that information. And then we would also utilize revenue from ads as well. And so then now going into the intellectual property, like the copyrights, patents, and trademarks, we'll need to do more research on that to see if we want to own it, share ownership, or if the City of Ames would like to own that as well. And then so some concerns that there might be are with like the copyright and patent and trademarks, and then the employee availability. We're still looking into that as well. Regarding the staff time, that was one of our questions. We knew we had reached out to an individual that works with the information and technology here at the City of Ames, and we're just hoping to get some more insight and information on how much staff time it would take. We're still analyzing that information as well. We aren't anticipating much staff time due to having multiple different departments interested in that project for opportunities for students, but we're still looking into that as well. So then our structure plan overall, so how it's going to fund itself and then continue the update. Students usually have that 3 months for projects. Maybe AI can be utilized as well. And then students can help create that bridging part, and then how to collect the information from private groups. We'll look at maybe using like some web scraping with AI or using some ad revenues. And then we'll just have the students help maintain that as well. Any other questions or anything that I can answer? Sorry, that was a lot of information on there.
Yeah, a lot of information there.
So Leah, did I hear that you were thinking about teaming up with Team Passport or?
We've talked about that most certainly, just because if they were wanting to use their passport online, we could implement that into our app so people could access that on there as well.
What do you guys think?
Yeah.
So if someone was interested, I mean, like any group in town could put an event on your, I mean, are you going to have to limit some of that or figure out, you know, I mean, you could get a lot of people wanting to put information on there. So how does that work as far as?
So we're trying to get as much information as possible. I feel like the more information you have, the more involved the community itself will be, just because we have such a wide community here that I feel like if we have more information in there, people will go to our app more, just because they know that they can locate all of the information in one area. So we're not going to really limit any information provided on there. We're going to hope to reach out to more communities and groups and more of those people and organizations and clubs over break to see who would be interested, to get more of an idea who would be interested. But I feel like the more engagement, the better we would be.
But for instance, Ames Soccer Club, you wouldn't want coach to put their practice schedule on.
Oh, correct. We would have like the sign up information and the prices and the schedules.
Okay, so it's more like events that they're having.
Yes. Sorry, I apologize.
No. I just was wondering how you know how specific you're getting on the information. Yeah.
So you're talking about events and links, particularly to all of those different groups, if they have an online presence.
Yes, and then if they were wanting us to even post like all of the information. So for example, if we use like Ames Soccer Club, we could put like the link of someone's email and then like what times like practices might typically be, just so they can have like a broad insight of information on there. But we would obviously speak with the organization or the club to see what they would like us to post on there first.
So Leah, just even with what you were talking about, so right now, if I'm gonna look for soccer, okay, I'm probably gonna say, I'm gonna type in soccer in Ames and probably wind up getting the Ames Soccer Club, all right, or other groups. And I'm gonna go to their website and find out all this information. Why would I go to this app or, use this app to then find what you have for soccer and then hit a link that takes me to Ames Soccer Club?
So we're hoping to just make it more of an ease of use for users overall. So hopefully if we had a great startup and we had more engagement in this, hopefully they would want to just use our app rather than just using websites. So like maybe if we talk to like a certain organization and they prefer to just put all of their information just on our app rather than having a website, it saves them the hassle of trying to put all of the information on there. And then if if the club and organization know that the users are confident in using our app, then maybe it would create more ease of use for them as well.
And I think this follows up to a question that was asked with the prior group. The consistency, the sustainability, and so on. You get all this information, and then people aren't passionate about it, or there's nobody to operate it. Then what happens?
That we are still figuring out the sustainability of that. And that's when we had reached out to the city of Ames as well to see what that staff time would look like, to see what our sustainability would look like in that scenario. But hopefully, because we're looking at partnering with multiple different departments, that we would have multiple students working together to take on the maintenance of it.
Questions?
I don't have any questions.
Similar question to the first group. So what is the initial startup cost and long-term to keep it year over year annually to keep something like this going?
So that our budget is still to be determined based on how many partnerships we get, if we get any grants as well. We are still figuring that part of that out. Hopefully we would get some revenue with ads. So if we partnered with local groups or organizations, we could advertise some of theirs. And then as well, I had mentioned maybe having like certain groups like do like a pay-in amount at the beginning of it, and then that would be like the cost for us posting all of their calendars and everything for the year going forward. But we would either use like the partnerships, grants, so still kind of to be determined.
And then last question would be, how do you incentivize a business to where if they're already having to update their own websites and applications, how do you incentivize to add something else to their plate to where they would have to send you the information to be updated on the passport? How would you, I guess, incentivize that time or commitment for them to update multiple different platforms?
Most certainly. Hopefully with our first launch with like the 50 to 100 residents, we can hopefully track engagement to show them, hey, if you like see this class here, you can show that their engagement rates have gone up and there's more attendees going to this event because they've been locating it in a more easier way. So hopefully trying to engage them by showing like there will be more engagement just by using the app, but that would be determined as well.
And then, sorry, one more.
No,
How do you ensure it doesn't become oversaturated to where then you get too much interest, but then it's hard to navigate things on the calendar?
That is still something that we are looking into as well with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you guys so
Great
much.
job.
We appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Keith, what are our next steps here?
Well, I don't know if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak to what they heard. Would be the first thing.
Nobody's rushing to the podium. Okay,
Maybe.
excellent, excellent.
I thought he was getting that.
Just let us know who you are and
Hello, my name is Li Wen Wong. I'm a student at Ames High, and I believe that projects such as these two that have just been mentioned in front of the board, I believe that they provide a great benefit to Ames. I have a younger brother, and I think programs like these ones would certainly help in encouraging him to get out and about. And I think part of the benefit, especially for the trail map one, is I can remember when I was a lot younger, my dad would take me around, walk around parks and whatnot. But for me as a child, it was it was mostly just following my father. You know, it was a little bit confusing. And not that there's, you know, too much horribly wrong with that, but I do believe that with the trail map idea, you know, you're able to better engage, you know, the child. You know, they see where they're going, they see the overview, and also it provides a sort of instant, you know, reward with the punch card, right? And so I think it's little things like that that can really help, especially when they're younger. Yeah, and as for the concerns about things like the cost or, you know, staff hours, that sort of things, I'm also involved in several, you know, volunteer organizations, and I can say that this is also a very deep concern of ours, right? Sustainability, but I believe that once you've set up the infrastructure for some of these events, especially for the trail park one, right? Once you've dug the holes, put the poles down, and you've got all that figured out. Once the operating cost is, once the startup cost is passed, then ideally, you know, the operation cost, you know, it's, as mentioned, it shouldn't be horribly high. And as always, you know, students, we're always looking for chances to get an internship, right? It looks, you know, I don't want to say it out loud, but it looks good on the resume. So, you know, there's always that to consider.
Good.
Thank you.
Nothing wrong with saying it out loud.
Yeah.
Will we be seeing you at Iowa State next year?
I'm not sure.
Whoa. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
All right, so next steps. So with this, typically with I know the mayor was part of the Health Appalooza, which was put on by ISU and Mary Greeley Medical Center. It was very successful. They're looking at doing it, you know, in the future. And they had this contest, which, you know, I don't know how many groups there were, but, you know, these were the top two. So typically with these types of things, you know, they would come and have conversation with staff. But the mayor did want to bring this in front of the commission. So at this point, I guess what we would be looking for, if you feel there is merit, you know, to any of either one or both of these things, then what I would do is direct staff. You can make a motion to direct staff to meet with them further and have more conversation in. Because the sustainability aspect is a real concern, and you know, the amount of time, if it is something that we start providing a service and then all of a sudden it goes away, a lot of times then people are looking to Parks and Recreation and saying, hey, we really like that, you know, what are you doing getting rid of it? And then that's something, another thing that we're taking on. So I guess if it's something that you see there's some merit, direct staff to have further conversation. I would remind you that we are opening a new aquatic center and have multiple other you know, projects and tasks that we're doing as well. So that's the direction I would give commission.
This might be a question for the students. Is there ever is Mrs. Moss your instructor, your professor?
Yeah, she organized Healthpalooza.
Okay, so as a sponsor, could the sponsor be the one that's responsible for, you know, making sure that it continues through their class? You know, whether it be a class project that is required, whether it's who figures out the internships? Would it be the professor that divvies those out?
Yeah, it would be the internships. We haven't talked specifically about the steps that would take.
Right.
But from my understanding, Ms. Moss is in charge of helping students find those opportunities.
Right.
And I would think that we would be involved in choosing who we award the internship to.
So, you know, maybe some of the responsibility could be put on I hate to say it, but the professor or whoever you get to sponsor that's their responsibility to keep the continuity going through the students, you know, so the Park and Recs wouldn't have to worry about it, but the sponsor worries about it, you know. So that's just a thought too.
I think on a similar, kind of on along a similar lines, I think there's definitely potential. There's definitely a lot of potential for engagement that you've mentioned, a lot of different groups that are interested, departments that are interested. But in terms of bringing all those pieces together and keeping them together, that can be a challenge. And I think whether it's one person, a faculty member, faculty are busy. So, it's whether they feel like they have the capacity to manage this long term, or if it's something like building a group that, a board or a commission or something that, is committed to maintaining these projects long term, committed to keeping volunteers and interns and everyone, working towards a common goal. I think that's going to be really important so that the burden doesn't fall on one individual or City of Ames down the road. Because like I said, as a citizen of Ames, these sound great. I have a young daughter. I want her to be more active. I want her to get out there. The passport sounds really cool. I love the idea of an app. I think there's definitely potential, but it's about that longevity. And so I think really thinking about what the structure of that looks like, and kind of building that out as part of your startup is going to be really important.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, Hannah, is, listening to what you just said, maybe it's not necessarily that it's us, that's owning it. They own it. We, allow them to put a post in the park system, or, we provide information for the app events and so on. And I'm thinking back, if any of you remember the program Verb, that it was Greg Welk with Iowa State. He had started it. Student group started it. They had different activities, different events. They had cards. Could be picked up at Parks and Recreation. Could be picked up at the library. There were different locations. They went out and did things. They turned them in, and then they got prizes. And then at the end of the summer, what they did is they actually had a gathering, and that went on for several years. I'm going to guess maybe 5, 6, 7 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then it eventually fell apart. We were a player in it, but it wasn't our program. So I think your comments are well taken.
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion? If we're going to recommend to council or to the staff here, then I guess we need a motion.
Yeah. And if it's, and with it too, again, you could say you don't have to do anything. You can just let it go and thank Emma, Catherine, and Leah, or you could say, you could direct staff to meet with them, have more conversation, and then we can decide what role we play, in this, if any, because again, they might be able to they could do the app and we wouldn't have to do anything, with it. So
I
couple of
move
options.
I move to direct staff to continue discussions with the groups. I see a lot of potential in these, and I think more work can be done, but that's my motion.
Second? I should say, do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any further discussion? Lots of great ideas. Money is always the sticking point, isn't it? And responsibility. So thank you again for being here. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Then the discussions will continue. Ladies, thank you all for being here. Have a great holiday season.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
You bet.
Yeah. So with the three of you, if you just want to get in touch with me after the holidays, and then we can find a time and get together and have some more conversation.
Great.
All right.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Happy holidays.
Same to you. Same to you. Agenda item number 6, park rules and policies update.
Yeah, so a couple of things, we have been discussing. We've had the ordinance changes, which that went to City Council on December 9th. And pretty much the changes that commission recommended, changing the firearms prohibited to weapons prohibited, the no swimming at Ada Hayden or any pond on city-owned property, the foraging, all that stuff was incorporated. And City Council did pass the first reading of that on the December 9th. Second reading went just on Tuesday. And one of the questions on the 9th was about rivers. The rivers constitute, are they a body of water and things of that sort? So with the second reading on Tuesday, is they could pass the second reading, but if they wanted to change something, the recommendation was instead of bodies of water on city-owned property, the change was to prohibit swimming on city-owned bodies of water within the park system. I think it's something like that. And they did make that motion and incorporate that. So then after the first of the year, the third reading will come forward and then those ordinances will take place. There are a couple of ordinances that we discussed that they did not make a motion on, so we couldn't take those to council. So I will be sending a follow-up memo to council just to saying, hey, here's two. One is in chapter 17, which regarding alcohol in the park system. And we wanted to add Gateway Hills Park to that because it really behaves. It's more like a community park than a woodland. So in our community parks, we allow alcohol. So we'll send a memo to them on that. And then the second part of that is we had the conversation about dogs within the park system must be on a leash. And that will be the second component. And we'll send that memo. And if they say, yes, we'd like both of those, they'll direct staff to develop an ordinance change, and then we'll bring those separate sometime after the first of the year. So that's regarding all the ordinances. All right. So in regards to the park rules, they like the changes, with the park rules and everything. They did have a question because there was some confusion of whether or not the 10-mile-per-hour speed limit was going to be a rule or if it was going to be an ordinance. Some people thought it was going to be an ordinance. I did get some emails, some correspondence. I responded to them once I cleared up what we were trying to do. People understood that. So what council did with the bicycle and the micromobility, what they did is they defined what a personal transportation device is, right? So the bicycle, the e-bike, the scooters, all those types of things. The second thing is that they just clarified that if you are on a street with a personal transportation device on a street, you can go as fast as the speed limit on that street. Joshua and I just left the Fit Family Indoor Aquatic Center, and we were both in the left lane, and the electric scooter was in the right lane, probably going 25 miles an hour, something like that. The second thing is for any trail, the speed limit is 20 miles per hour unless otherwise posted, right? So if we post a speed limit, which we did share with them that we're looking at the 10-mile-an-hour speed limit, and based on last conversation in November, and that's what we heard from the commission as well. So they did ask some questions. Why not, 15? Why not have no speed limit? Those kinds of things. So some of the information that I shared with them, and just remind commission of this and why staff is recommending the 10-mile-an-hour speed limit, and then also I think some of it is with what the commission. So in that survey that we did, which was almost 1,400 responses, so we asked, does anyone in your household own a bicycle? 84%. Do you use it in the parks? 64%. So a lot of people own it, less people use it. E-bikes was 9% owned, only 7% used in the park. So a higher percentage of those people. And I'm not going to go through all the other things because they're less. Top three forms of transportation, which is interesting. 98% of the people, in the park system said walking. Okay, 98%. 60% said biking. 35% said jogging or running. But when we asked what do you use most often, right? 80% of the people said walking. Only 8% said bicycles. And 6% said jogging and running. So the thing that I mentioned to council was, that there are a lot of people that walk in the park system. And some of the information that you even received, even with some of the people that came to the thing, they're concerned, and what we heard when we had the public input, some of that too was concern, with from the bicycles, well, not from the bicycles, from the pedestrian. But when we asked about the speed limit, 78% of the people said institute a speed limit. All right, 22% said no. And of that, again, 28% of the people said 10 miles per hour. That was their selected. The next highest group was 23%, which was 5 miles an hour. And then the third was 14% at 15 miles an hour. So if you look at, 51% of the people wanted something less, than 10 miles an hour, 10 or less. So this, and I'm just sharing this because this is the feedback that we received. And obviously there were people that wanted us to ban bicycles. And for the reasons that we discussed, and with the e-bikes and so on, we didn't go, that direction. But the last question I just want to share, when we asked, have you experienced or witnessed any of the following? Device users not announcing their presence. Almost 60% of the people have experienced that. Device users traveling at unsafe speeds, 42%. Unsafe riding, 36. Inexperienced riders, 35. Individuals being rude, inconsiderate, disrespectful, 28. Trail crowding, that's more of a pedestrian, issue, but 26%. Collisions or close calls, 25%. So there's a number of things that are related to the bicycles. So I just want to share, and I know, we received the commission received the email from the one individual, and he was like, 10 miles an hour, that's a 6-minute mile. There's kids on the high school track team that run faster than that. I also want to just remind, when we talked about this before, is that, again, 10 miles per hour, is everybody going to go 10 miles per hour? No. There's going to be some that will go slower. There will some that will go faster. Again, this is a park rule. There's going to be some self-policing. There's going to be, hopefully, people will be saying, hey, you're going too fast, type of thing. But again, if they go 12 miles an hour, 13 miles an hour, we're not going to have the police out there stopping people. Our concern is if you have them go 15, then they're going to go 18, 19, and so on. So I think that's our concern. And if we look at the data, and that's what we tried to do, is we ask these questions for a reason. And if we aren't going to listen to what the people are telling us, then should we continue to ask the question? So I just want to remind the commission is that we did ask questions, and this is some of the stuff that's pertinent to the rule. Any other rule changes that we had, council didn't have any concerns with any of those. So I know the big one is it was some questions from council, about why 10 miles an hour. And I just shared what I just shared with the commission. I shared the same thing with them. Now, there were two people that got up and actually three people that got up and spoke. And one person, really didn't talk about, so much with the speed limits, but said that really appreciate the fact that we're talking about safety, pedestrian safety, bicycle safety, personal transportation devices, all those types of things. But his comment was, but we need to keep going. We need to go further with some of these things. And he's talking more of issues with vehicles and pedestrians. And then the second person spoke on behalf of the Ames Bicycle Coalition, and she spoke and she said, hey, generally, the 20 miles an hour and those kinds of things, we agree with that. In the park system, do we agree with the 10%? Generally, yes. Or the 10 miles per hour, generally, yes. But then her concern was, or the coalition's concern was more in regards to tickets and with like lights. Somebody doesn't have a light on the back, they don't have a light on the front, they get stopped, they get a ticket right away. And she really wanted staff and the council to consider fix-it tickets. Give somebody a time period. Hey, you don't have a light, we're going to give you 30 days or 90 days or something, whatever it is to fix it. And council did direct staff to look at what that might look like. So other staff within the city is looking at that, not us, that aspect. So police will be wrapped into it and so on. So that's just an overview of when we took this information, the ordinances, and then just shared some of the park rules. We did remind them park rules are set by the Parks and Recreation Commission. So I just wanted to bring that up in regards to the speed limit and so on. So any questions or comments?
Keith, I always trust the data to a point, and I worry about some of the figures that you cited. I forget what percentage said that 5 miles an hour was an appropriate speed limit. That sounds like an opinion from someone that hasn't ridden a bike much or doesn't ride much. That 5 miles an hour is just about falling over speed.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
So I worry that data is kind of skewing our view on this whole subject. I understand safety. Believe me, I understand the need for safety on our trails. You can't be going fast and recklessly on these trails. But I wonder that about compliance and about enforcement and self-policing. Somebody going 12 miles an hour, are they going to be called on the carpet for going 12 in a 10? This is just fraught with difficulty, and the difficulty is always in enforcement.
Yeah, and that will be difficult. And you bring up some good points. With it, obviously there were a lot of people who completed this survey that own bikes.
Yeah.
And yet they do a lot of walking as well. Again, most of the concerns that we get from people is from pedestrians, and they're feeling unsafe. And I think you probably have a valid point with the 5 miles per hour. That's pretty slow. I think maybe some people, if I were to try to go in their shoes and think, why would I select 5? It's like, well, we can't say 0. If we say 0, then we're banning bicycles, and we're not going to do that. So, well, maybe we allow them to go at some speed. So they say, well, we'll let them go 5 miles per hour. I think that's what some people, again, that's just my opinion, with it, that, yeah, we'll let them out there, but we just don't want them going very fast. And again, that's we've heard, and we're not going to ban bicycles. We don't want to do that. One of the council members, they did say that, hey, safety is important, which I don't think anybody here is going to disagree with that. Safety is very important. Number one, how do we provide that safe environment? But one of the council members said, like, hey, I've been out there and there are people that are just racing around there and making it unsafe, for people. And is this a way that if somebody sees 10 miles an hour, does it take those people that are racing around and they say, no, I'm not going to go there, because if I do, I'm not going to be able to go the speed that I want, or I'm going to get called out or whatever. So I need to find someplace else, to do, go fast, with it. So again, is it, is it 10? Yeah, speed limit be 10. And again, I if we went out there with a speed gun, I'm going to guess that there are going to be people that are going 12, 15 miles an hour. But again, it's some of the other components, announcing your present, yield to pedestrians, be kind. Those are the things that are causing most problems when we got people racing around with their bicycle and then yelling at people, get off the trail. I was like, well, no. So I think that's looking at what we heard. Now there's the other component of the individual's email talking about the stripe, stripe it. And again, we've shared this, but I'll share it again, and I'll respond to the individual so they know this. And if we were going to stripe it, we would have to allow, of that 12 foot, 8 foot of it would have to be for bicycles. 4 foot of it would have to be for pedestrians. Again, pedestrians are our primary users. And that's because we go with SUDAS, and there's other things that SUDAS does and the city has adopted. So if you're going to have two-way bicycle traffic, you got to have at least 8 foot. We didn't put a line because there's bicycles up there, but the pedestrians are the predominant users up there. So we'll see how it goes with the graphics and the signage and things of that sort that we have. So yeah. So I hear what you're saying, Jeff.
I agree with you, though. It's not the 12 and 15 people that are going to be. I mean, who's going to know if you're going 10 or 12 or 15?
Right.
Nobody's going to be out there with a gun. But it's the people who are racing around that I think then need to be called out. And I think you're right. It'll make them go somewhere else or slow down.
Mhm.
And it'll also depend on how many people are walking at that time. If they're going out at 6 a.m. and there's nobody out there, nobody's
Right.
going to know.
Mhm.
If they're out there at 4 p.m. when there's, a majority of walkers, yeah. So I think you're right. I mean, 12, 15, 10, nobody's going to, if you're announcing where you're coming and letting people know, I think that won't be a problem. I think
Yeah.
it's the people that are racing around that are.
Yeah, and again, I don't think all the walkers out there, they're not innocent from some of these issues.
Spreading all the way across.
Yeah, the trail crowding. We need to walk, 7 across, and instead of the earbuds, the retractable leashes, So there's other things that we'll continue to try to address as well, and only with the leashes. So one of the things I should mention also is we have discussed where would we put this 10-mile-an-hour speed limit. All right. And we came with Ada Hayden, Moore Memorial, through Brookside, Elwood Pasture, and Stuart Smith. Those were the areas that we really kind of looked at as we're going to do something. And again, it's with this, those would be the areas. But again, it's we have to start somewhere, and we could start with this, and if we have to come back and revisit it, a year from now, 2 years from now, say, it should have been 15, or maybe it should have been 5. Maybe in certain parks we should ban some of these bicycles because nobody's listening, type of thing. So again, we have to start somewhere, and that's staff's recommendation would be to go with the 10 miles per hour.
I think the signage is going to help. I think just reminders, that people are aware of what you should be doing, and I think that's going to help.
Yeah.
I think it's going to help.
If you go higher, I just don't think people will slow down.
Yeah. So with this, So we were, and we did talk about, we were going to bring a final version, to this, but based on, I wanted to share the conversations from city council. And then also, and I don't know if you've received other correspondence. I know one of the council members did say, hey, we received a lot of correspondence, in regards to that, but they didn't make any motion or direction or anything to go something other than the 10 miles per hour with it. So again, that's commission's responsibility. So if you want to change something, now would be the time to do it. And then January, we will bring the final park rules, to you for adoption. And then we'll start getting all the information out.
Is there any provision for triathlons or other athletic events that might happen out there? Say at Ada Hayden?
Yeah, you're talking from a bicycle standpoint?
Yes.
So with the bicycling right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joshua, they start in the parking lot. They basically go out of the park, go through county roads, and then come back into the park. The running is on the path, through the park. So we have not made any provisions. We could add something that if there is an event or something, they could always come to the commission. But the thing is during those events, we still allow people to walk. We still allow people to use the park, whether it's fishing and so on. So right now there's no provisions in there, for those events. But like with any ordinance, anybody can come to city council and ask for a waiver of an ordinance. Same thing with the park rule. How many times have people come to the commission? The triathlon's a perfect example. Park rules are 6 a.m. to 10:30. We want to get in at 4. That type of thing. And then you can look at it case by case and make a decision based on the merit of their request and how it impacts other users. So.
Thank you, Keith. I'm not feeling any love for my 15-mile-an-hour speed limits. I won't even stick my neck out, which I like to do, but I won't. But as the gentleman from Ames High says, well, let's get out of our basements and get outside. So.
Yeah, we do want to do that. We do want to encourage people getting out there.
Very good. Moving on, Keith?
Yep.
So you've all heard the phrase must-see TV. Well, I'm not sure this is must-see TV, but the next topic is broadcasting Parks and Rec Commission meetings.
Yeah, so we had some conversation at the December 4th meeting about this topic. In the staff report, a little bit more information regarding, ADA compliance. And there's a lot of things with all of our, not just if we're broadcasting something, if we have written material and so on, it needs to meet those requirements by April of 26. So with this closed captioning, we do have a number of commissions, boards, so on that get broadcast. So with it, and you can see what the city staff's recommendation is, and we did put the viewer information. We do have Bill, who's our media production specialist, he's here and he can speak to that a little bit more. But really, it's if we're going to continue to do these things and have to close caption and stuff, there's a lot of staff time associated with it, and based on the viewership right now. With Parks and Recreation Commission thinking, no, we'll stop broadcasting. But if there is a topic, that if we know something is going to come up and we want it broadcast, then I talk to Bill and just plan for it, and then we can do that. Like with the Miracle Park, that would have won if we weren't broadcasting. That was one that maybe we say, yeah, let's make sure that's broadcast when we're making a final decision. So we can do that. And in that we still have the opportunity, for Joe, we still have the opportunity that we could record the meeting. He can use that recording to make sure that the minutes are correct and so on. And I'll give a shout out to Joe. He does an awesome job, with the minutes. He captures the information very well. But he does go back and look and listen. So he can still listen for his use only when he's done, and then the recording goes away, that type of thing. So this is just to give you more information as the direction that we're looking. I don't know if you have any questions. Bill would be glad to answer anything if anybody has any questions of him. And any thoughts one way or the other. Otherwise, we will stop broadcasting.
I understand that staff time and resources are need to be used wisely and need to be allocated however we have them available. You guys do a lot of stuff. My concern is that the making things more digitally accessible shouldn't take away resources to the public. You know what I mean? So I would be, I guess my concern is that if we stop broadcasting because we can't add the closed captioning, well, then we're not becoming more accessible. Are we becoming less? Is kind of my concern. But
yeah,
I don't know.
And that's a good question. And from a staff time, it's not us, the three of
Yeah,
us
no.
that are going to be doing it. It's going to be Bill and his. And there are going to be some that I think there's city council meetings will still be broadcast. I think planning and zoning will still be broadcast. I think there might be one other.
The board of review.
Yeah.
The board of review is still going to be broadcast as well.
So I don't know, Bill, can you speak to
Yeah. So
Anna's question?
first of all, in Iowa open meetings law, we don't have to provide any video to anybody. The rule is that if we create it, then we do have to provide it. Staff time wise, it is going to be quite a bit. So it's not just captioning. It's also audio description. So when this is taking place right now, I can't see it, but I'm assuming that I'm on the camera. The video would pause and then it would say, gentleman standing at podium speaking. And then you would hear the rest of me speaking. So anytime there's a presentation, that would happen as well. And so you guys are actually pretty spot on at about 2 hours per meeting. You guys are very good. You don't usually go long or anything like that. But we're anticipating that if we were doing all of this manually, a 2-hour meeting like yours would take my staff 11 hours to produce and to be done. So I only have part-time staff, and that would be 1 week of my part-time staff's time fixing this meeting to make it up there. So that's part of it. Two, the viewership is down on this meeting. You had a couple that were really high. I think I did the last 6 months. Is that what I did, or did I do the last year?
Last year.
Last year. I'm guessing that those had to do with deer hunting in Munn Woods because those were both on the agendas when that happened. If we know something like that's coming up, we're totally open. As long as we have a heads up, we can schedule staff and we can get it done and make sure we do those things. Captioning, again, has to be edited if it's archived. It can't just be the AI captions. It has to be gone through by a human being to be edited and corrected and that sort of thing. We're very happy to jump in and record any meetings that you guys feel need to be recorded. Again, we just also bought new equipment to do audio recording for this, for recording secretaries or for staff to use as a working document, that sort of thing. Our goal isn't necessarily to be less, to give less information, but the minutes are the official open records document, and the minutes will still be done the same way. In fact, I believe all the minute takers are also having a meeting on how they can more effectively and efficiently make their meetings, although Joe does a great job. Hope that answered your question a little bit. We're still working on all the different solutions. The other option is to throw money at it. And right now, it's a lot more money than I have in my department at the moment. And so we're just kind of looking at what the best solutions are for us to continue doing the best job that we can.
Thank you. That was really helpful.
Yeah.
Just so we also know if we were to get pushback. I think also in the future of like someone saying that why isn't this available anymore? We have the kind of the rationale for it, and we can speak a little bit more to that. So I appreciate that.
And absolutely. And I also have a lot of data too. So if there is
Yep.
pushback, Steph, Keith can come and talk to me. I can give him the data that he can work and then ultimately it can go back to the city manager's office if we need to figure out how to bring everything back.
So how many staff hours would it take for Tuesday's council meeting?
Oh man. So the council meeting on Tuesday was 5 hours. And so we would anticipate that one taking 21, I think is what I calculated for us to get it done. So
Brutal.
both my staff working on it for a whole week. So
Yeah, talk about must-see TV, Jeff.
that's why we like the yours is always, you guys are at 150 to 2 hours. And we're like, that's right on.
A lot of times even less than that.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Thank you, Bill.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
I guess even Seinfeld had to end eventually, so it's a sad day.
How will a determination be made when we do decide to record a meeting? Is that some direction that'll come from you or the staff, or is that something that we will need to discuss?
Yeah, I think in the past, if I was to pick out meetings that we're going to do, if generally what happens, it's not the first meeting that something happens. We may have a discussion about something, or maybe we send out a correspondence. And that's what happened with the McCarthy Lee sand volleyball courts. We sent out a letter, and boy, did we start hearing a lot of people and stuff and said, oh, hey, this one is it's gonna be controversial. And I think that once we did that, we would say, based on what we're hearing, Bill, let's go ahead and let's broadcast this one. So I think most of the time it would probably be what type of feedback are we getting once we send something out, or it might be, maybe we wind up have a meeting. We don't even think it's going to be controversial. All of a sudden, there's 30 people here, and council or commission says, you know what, based on the feedback, staff, let's get this other information, look at that. Let's have further conversation. We'll make a decision at the next meeting. Then we'll say, you know what, let's go ahead and get that one broadcast as well. So,
Okay.
so I think that's just off the cuff. I think that's what we would look at to decide, or how we would decide.
I think you've been at this job long enough to know what probably is going to be a hot topic. Hot topic.
Yeah, we're getting better at it, aren't we? but not always.
Great. Thank you. Agenda item number 8, Ames Fitness Center tennis agreement.
This is an annual agreement that we bring forth to commission with expressing the partnership we have with Ames Fitness Club to offer youth and adult tennis lessons throughout the year. This partnership has been going on since the fall of 2021, and it is expressed by both parties to continue. Nothing is changing of significance within the agreement that it has been in the past. One thing I would note is that typically we hold our summer sessions out at local parks, and then in the off seasons when it's a little bit colder, we move inside to the tennis bubble at Ames Fitness Center South. But interesting conversations with the instructors with weather variables, even in the summertime, with rain, so forth. It's our intent in 2026 to transition all lessons to the tennis bubble. Obviously, informing participants of where they can go recreate within our parks, but they also have an outdoor option as well at the tennis bubble. So they would still have an indoor-outdoor opportunity with those classes. That's the only change as in the agreement. But staff has reviewed, Ames Fitness Center has reviewed. Ames Fitness Center has also agreed the terms and signed the agreement. So staff is recommending approval from commission on alternative 1 to approve the tennis agreement with Ames Fitness Center through December 31st of 2026.
I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve alternative number 1.
And a second.
Second. Either way.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Excellent. Thank you. Project updates. This is a highlight, Keith. What do you have for us?
So with Fitch, we're hoping to bring some additional information to you regarding schedule and things, but we'll be doing that in January. But we do, the fees really, we're not proposing any changes besides we did add an aquatic facility pass. So that will get you into Furman and to Fitch. You pay that annually, get a 10% discount and things. So we'll share more of that information with you. I think the biggest thing that we need to share is we're looking at substantial completion of January 23rd, for the project. Right now, we just last week, I think Wednesday is when when we heard it. So January 23rd is going to be substantial completion for the non-natatorium area. So that's a multi-purpose space, the locker rooms, the check-in desks, the party rooms, those types of things. The natatorium substantial completion is now, the date is February 13th with it. So what does that mean, to us? Obviously, that's 3 additional weeks. We're hoping maybe March we would be able to get in. We had conversation this week in regards to getting the state inspection, done, of those types of things. So realistically, we're probably not looking until April. If everything gets accomplished, probably not until April to open, the facility. But they continue to make progress. The slide, if you haven't been by, the slide is up. It's blue, and that's you'll see it on the outside. The stairs on the inside, going up to the top of the slide, those are in. Joshua and I were there this morning. The surfacing for the walking, area, that's all down. They're actually thought it was kind of interesting. They're welding the matting together. It's just a process basically with the same material, but with a really hot iron, basically. And they put the seams, they weld them together and so on. They had the flooring laid out in the multi-purpose space, which is looking good, kind of a herringbone pattern. But those all have a little bit of, cushion, to them. So things are moving along, but I think that's the biggest thing we wanted to share is that that substantial completion date for the natatorium has been pushed back to February 13th. The other component, we did share some information on Tuesday night at council. We gave them this information, and then we also talked to them about the modeling of the precast panels on the front. If you've gone by, if you've seen it, it just looks very splotchy, I guess. It's not a consistent color. It's supposed to be Rushing River. It's a Sherwin-Williams color. That was the color that they were supposed to get. Contractor said, hey, why did this happen? The contractor was supposed to put a color admixture in. So we have integral color throughout the concrete. And the integral color means that if you cut through that precast panel, it'd be the same color all the way through. So they tried to achieve that color just by mixing gray and white cement. And then it wound up that they did not submit a mix design with it. So we're trying to look at basically we talked to concrete experts, looked at a number of different things. 2 options: one, give it time, or stain it. And one concrete expert that we talked to basically said, we would expect it to be getting better after a year. You'd start seeing some of that discoloration lessening. We have not been seeing that. Go by on a sunny day and you'll know exactly what we're talking about. So we do have a 4 by 6 foot mock-up of the panels. And one of the things we heard too is, and from PCI, which is the Precast Concrete Institute, one of the things in their materials, they talk about gray and smooth are difficult to get a consistent color. We wish we would have heard that before we chose that, but so we are going to be looking at council directed staff to look at some staining, different colors, and it won't take the defects away. So you may have to go with a little darker stain to better cover those defects. So we're gonna look at some different color options and do that on that mock-up, put it out there over the winter. We got to wait until springtime anyways because of the temperatures, consistent temperatures that we need. So, but there was some concern from council in regards to how dark do you go. The letters, Fitch Family Indoor Aquatic Center, are dark. So if you go too dark, will you even be able to see those, in the daytime? They're backlit at night, so you probably still be able to see them. So that's another issue that we are working through as well. Those are really the two big things, right? Yeah. And then there was a change order for Story Construction. So the way the contract was designed is that we pay them for their construction staffing, and so the change order was for $211,000, which will take us through the end of the project. So, but that's the way the contract was written. So they did approve that change order. So any questions on Fitch?
Have you hired employees for that yet? Like, managers?
We have job postings out there. Interviews have been happening and things. So yep, we're working on it.
So even with the water part not being open, you can still probably do some training and things, once it opens in February?
No,
or when you're able to get in February, or no?
Yeah, so we did have a meeting this week also with City of Ames inspection, fire,
Wow.
and planning and so on. So there's a thing that you can get a TCO, which is a temporary certificate of occupancy.
Mhm.
They usually, when they do those, it's for the entire building. And then there's minor things that need to be done, maybe some landscaping, or, there are some things that they are not going to be able to do until the springtime because of the weather. And things, mainly on that southwest corner. So, because we asked about, could we get in even in January? And they said, we really don't issue the TCO until the entire building is thing. But then there's the whole life safety. The sprinklers have to be working, all of the AEDs and fire extinguishers and signage and all that stuff has to be done, which it should be done with it. So, but then there's also, again, with the state inspections, we have to have, if the pool basins, right now, the rec pool is the one that's taking the longest. That's the one that they're working on right now. I think they're looking at painting that by February 9th. So then that paint has to cure. We got to get a dry inspection. So the state can go in and look at grates and look at everything and all that kind of stuff. And then they'll come back and they'll look at it when it's filled. Because then they're going to want to make sure that the whole system is working like it should be. So we're not thinking we're going to get in until March sometime. And we were thinking probably once we got in, I think we were thinking probably 6 weeks at a minimum to get staff in, trained, and all acclimated, and we got to bring all the furniture in and supplies and all that kind of stuff as well. So
sometime in April.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that's I think the best case scenario, because then the question does come up too is, well, all right, we open in April, we open for 4 weeks, and then we basically close it because Furman opens.
Right.
And things. So there's we'll continue to have discussion, and we'll continue to keep you updated. Hopefully January we'll maybe be able to give you a little bit more of a firmer date, but not sure. So anything else with that?
I have a question. So I also kind of had the question about, how will it work if it opens in, late April and then Furman opens? In terms of like the multi-purpose room, is that, so when you're saying it will essentially close when Furman opens, will that part still be active?
Yes.
Or, okay,
Yep.
got it.
Yep. Yeah, and you'll see right now we're looking at so that part of it will be fitness classes,
Yeah.
maybe youth activities, a wide variety of things. So and we're hoping we have a session May 18th, kind of the summer session starts. We're hoping that we can start having classes in there at that time. And that will continue. That aspect will be year round. We could have meetings in there. We could have rentals. We could have, different, types of activities. Again, during the summertime, we will still have swim lessons, in the morning and the evening. And we'll have a couple other activities that will be going on in there as well. We've had conversation with Mary Greeley. Will they be doing maybe some therapy or some different activities? Maybe. We just had an initial conversation. Courtney and I met with them, so we'll see what they come back with, if anything. So yeah, there will still be some activity, but for open swim, it will not be open.
Not even in the event of inclement weather.
Inclement weather is the exception. So, but there too, if we have inclement weather on, say, a Tuesday, we would be able to maybe have open swim from 1 until 5, because then we have swim lessons on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. So we won't be able to have open swim when we have swim lessons.
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we could have a longer time period because I don't think we have swim lessons. So, but those are all things we'll share more with you on the thing. You add anything?
Yeah, I would just say too, with the inclement weather factor, obviously there's a lot of logistics to figure out too, to where figuring out logistics to close a facility, but then can you immediately just pick up and move and go there instantaneously, to where if we do have programming in the evening, if open swim closes at 2, what does that transition time logistically look like to get people over, to get a facility open, to then invite the public? Is that really going to provide adequate time? So hopefully we can forecast some of these things as well, to where if we believe there's going to be inclement weather looking ahead, to say earlier in the week, to where then possibly Furman doesn't open and we just plan to have that open swim at Fitch. So then it negates some of that complication and potential frustration, not only for the customers, but for our staff as well. So I think there'll be a lot more being able to pre-plan based on weather predictions as well.
Yeah. And it may be, if the weather is questionable, we may just say we're not opening Furman.
Right.
Whereas now we open it, and if we're less than so many people at 2:00, then we close. I would agree with Courtney. It'd be very difficult to close at 3:00 and say, hey, now we're going to open Fitch. I think it's either we open at 1, or hey, weather moved in, Furman's closed, and we're done with swimming for today, kind of thing. So
Will all staff be, cover both facilities? Like, will it be a shared staff essentially?
Yes. Yeah. From the aquatics portion, that is the goal to cross train. So, and that is something in our processes and even things that we started implementing at Furman, and thinking of differences, how lifeguards may approach things from an outdoor facility to an indoor facility. Our manager's done a good job of already starting to implement some of those changes. So as far as, duration of whistle, those types of little logistics that you may not see, but on the backside, that staff would be, operating in the same way at each facility. So they're not having to think, okay, I do this here, I do this at this location. So some of that's already been put into place. But when we're looking at applications, it's really of a time frame. It's not a selection of like, I want to work there or there. It's going to be able to be cross-trained for each facility.
And we're hoping it helps with retention because people, now I can lifeguard year round and I don't have to find something during the school year and then come back because we lose people. They work for us one summer and then they go and they find another job during the school year and then they say, I'm not going to go back and lifeguard. So hopefully it will help with retention as well.
In terms of the multipurpose room, are you anticipating that to be an expansion of programming or moving programming from the community center or mix?
I would say a combination of the
Combination.
Yeah.
I know I've already heard questions in my fitness class. Are we moving over? So
Yeah. It'll be a mix.
And it'll also depend on instructors as well as far as scheduling. So there'll be a little bit of that as well, to where obviously if someone's teaching multiple classes in a row to where it's like they go from the community center to Fitch and back, we want to make sure that that's taken into consideration as well.
thank you.
64.
We're still pretty excited to get it. And Ron, you guys, some of you went through the tour and things. Yeah, we're amazed every day. It changes. More and more gets done. So we'll get you in again when we get closer. Set up another tour. So Schenker Plaza, really the only thing that it will say there is we have sent a letter to the contractor and have given them a time frame to respond. And then based on their response, the city will be taking some action. And at this point, that's about all I can say. So that's the only update with that.
Good. Thank you, Keith. Monthly report, December from the staff.
Yeah, just quickly, in lieu of talking about Furman and Fitch, we do have applications open for aquatic positions. So if anybody is interested in looking for either that seasonal year-round job, we encourage them to apply and start those conversations with our staff. And second, want to make note that we do have some special holiday concerts going on at the Ames City Auditorium this weekend, starting tomorrow. We have performance starting at 7 p.m. and then on Saturday at 2 p.m. It's performances for all ages each night. But on Saturday at 2 p.m., they are planning to do some special thing like sing-alongs and things to make it more family oriented. So we really encourage everybody to go check that out. And if you haven't been to the Ames City Auditorium, this would be a great opportunity to begin the holidays to do that.
Just want to make one comment in regards to an item that's not in the monthly report, is that starting the day after Christmas, if individuals have a real live, well, not so live, a cut Christmas tree, they can drop it off. A new location this year is going to be at the softball complex, the ball field complex on East 13th Street, just a little bit farther down the road from our parks maintenance shop where it has been in the past, due to the construction that's taking place at the parks maintenance facility. So the new drop-off point is the parking lot of the ball field facility on East 13th Street. That information will be in our newsletter next week. It's been on the city side, I believe, that goes in the utilities invoices, those types of things, and then also we'll have it on social media next week. So, and all the way through the month of January.
Good.
Any update on deer hunting in Munn Woods? I know we shared that on. I think we're up to, was it 13?
Yeah, I talked to a couple folks that actually have been hunting out there, and I think it was 13 deer, 13 antlerless deer.
Are they having trouble getting them out?
As far as I've heard, no. I mean, it is a challenge, but yeah, no, they're doing fine, and I think that maybe a few comments from at least one individual, but in the neighborhood. But other than that, everything has been. The hunter I talked to has, they take the utmost care to make sure that they're doing everything properly, not making a disturbance to anything, and so they're doing the best that they can. So
We have not heard any, I have not heard any concerns from walkers, park users, or anything along those lines at this point, so.
Have you heard anything from the residents if they've seen a difference?
No, have not heard a thing.
Okay.
No, this is good news.
Yeah.
Great.
Item number 11 is commission member comments from the dais. A quiet bunch. Good, okay. Well, our next meeting is scheduled for January the 15th, 4 o'clock right here. I wish you all a happy holidays, and we'll see you in January. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn?
And we are adjourned.